For those of you just getting off work and trying to get on I-40 eastbound, we had a pedestrian struck and killed there at around 11 o'clock this morning. Police have had 40 eastbound near the airport there around Donaldson Pike. They've had that closed since about 11 o'clock this morning. It remains that way. So trying to get through there, impossible at the moment. They are routing folks over to Donaldson Pike to get them off the interstate. So that is already backing traffic up into downtown, as you could well imagine. Also out in the Dixon area, we had this happen early this morning as well. A truck hit a bridge, turned over, and spilled salt all over the interstate. The right lane still blocked. This is 40 eastbound at the exit 163 there. And also Highway 70S near I-40 in the Bellevue area. We have an accident reported there. I'm Jay Harper with traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 9 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I am on the air. Yeah, all the way until 7 o'clock. And I got stuff to talk about. You know, I've been off for a few days. Anything happen while I was gone? Oh, yeah, there was something that happened. Oh, yeah, just this little thing called a presidential pardon. Pardon me. Well, I can't pardon him for that pardon. I just can't. My goodness. What an unbelievable amount of hypocrisy. What an unbelievable abuse of presidential power. What a bunch of unmitigated. I'm telling you, this is beyond the pale. You know, and boy, talk about a tap dance. You know, after time, the president was asked himself, are you going to pardon your son? He said, no. Karine Jean-Pierre said, no, it's not going to happen. Nothing has changed until it did. Here's Karine aboard Air Force One yesterday on the way to Africa.
You have said repeatedly yourself since the election, the president has said for months, no pardon was coming. I wanted to ask you, could those statements now be seen as lies from the American people? Is there really a credibility issue here given now this announcement?
First of all, one of the things that the president always believes is to be truthful to the American people. That is something that he always truly believes. And I would encourage everyone to read in full the president's statement. I think he lays out his thought process. He lays out how he came to this decision. He came to this decision this weekend. So let's be very clear about that. He says it himself. It's in his voice. He said he came to this decision this weekend. And he said he wrestled with this. And because he believes in the justice system, but he also believes that the war politics infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice.
Wait. So there's been this politicization of the Justice Department has brought about what he thought was a political prosecution. What does he think has been going on with Donald Trump all these months, all these many months, years? I mean, that they don't see that is just unbelievable.
The two of them were together this weekend. Did the president and Hunter discuss this possibility? Did they talk about this happening?
I can say is he made this decision this weekend. He made it himself. I don't have anything else to discuss beyond that.
I don't know if you talked about Hunter.
I just don't have anything to discuss. I've been pretty consistent in not talking about private conversations that he's had with his family, I just don't have anything to say. Besides, the president made this decision this weekend, as he said in his statement, and he made this decision himself. Once he made this decision, he shared it with his senior staff.
Does the president believe now and agree with President-elect Trump that the justice system has been weaponized for political purposes?
Well, that's a great question.
And that it needs root and branch reform?
No.
Of course,
statement.
no.
Read the president's statement. He said he believes in the Department of Justice. He does. He says it in his statement. He believes. He also believes that raw politics infected the process and it led to a miscarriage of justice.
Oh, I believe in the Justice Department in their process. Unless they're coming after me or my son, then we don't believe in it at all.
He believes his son was unfairly targeted. He said that what his political opponents have done to my son, that's his words, is cruel and enough is enough. He says he believes in the justice system. And I said both things. No, but both things. Well, I'm not gonna. I can only speak for this president. I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. Both things could be true.
Well, I mean, enough of that nonsense. The tap dance begins. I mean, even friends of the Democrats, like Jon Stewart, are pointing out the hypocrisy of all of this.
Isn't illegal, nor is it particularly unusual in politics. It's not like he's ever going to run again, so why not take care of your kid? Even if you said you weren't gonna. I respect it. I don't have a problem with it. The problem is the rest of the Democrats made Biden's pledge to not pardon Hunter the foundation of their defense of America, this grand experiment.
One political party remains committed to the rule of law and the other doesn't. It's that simple.
Hunter Biden's not above the law. No one is above the law. Democrats stand for the rule of law.
We accept the outcome because that's how the rule of law works.
Because the justice system that convicted his only surviving son is the same justice system he's vowed to protect. And if that doesn't tell you who Joe Biden is, I don't really know what does.
And now look at the dance Democrats have to do.
Be honest, the only reason why they went after Hunter the way they did, and I've talked to many federal prosecutors about this, is because he's the president's son.
People have to remember the president has lost 2 children already, and he does not need to lose another one to more political witch hunts.
The, crowing from Republicans, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France.
Oh, I mean, they're all the twisting and the turning and trying to make it to make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to make the case that it was a political prosecution, then I think you should then immediately pardon Donald Trump for the same thing. But no, they won't do that. They won't do that at all. And the Democrats are losing their ever-loving minds. Here is one of the panels on CNN. The first voice you hear will be Scott Jennings, who's the lone conservative voice at the table.
NBC News reported that the president and his top aides met this summer and decided 2 things: that they were going to keep this option open, but they were going to publicly maintain that they would not pardon Hunter Biden through statements from Joe Biden and statements from the White House press secretary.
Now, that came from NBC News, according to Scott Jennings. And if that is true, then all this talk about, well, the decision was made this weekend is, again, a bunch of...
They had a meeting. They coordinated the lie, I guess for political purposes. And now that he's leaving office, he is going back on what he told the American people. This isn't simply changing your mind. This is just fulfilling what you always intended to do. No Republican is shocked that he is doing this. What I am shocked at is the duplicity of the President of the United States and his top aides to come together and form this lie and stick to it this entire time. We all knew it was ridiculous, and now the American people are seeing what a disgrace he really is.
I think it's incredibly rich to have you say that the people got together and they were duplicitous and they created a lie.
NBC News said it.
I'm saying they created a lie because, honestly, what the other side has been saying for years, what you guys ran on for president, was multiple lies. I mean, if Eric Holder said it right, I think. He said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right? That it was always a political witch hunt. And it was always...
But wasn't, to Scott's point, I mean, wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie?
Listen.
He was not going to pardon him.
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads.
What? She really thinks that Donald Trump's going to come in and set up firing squads? This woman is, by the way, her name is Lee McGowan. Unbelievable stuff comes out of the mouth of these people.
Who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished. And Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government form when he was buying a gun. And he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest. Donald Trump himself was indicted for 17 counts of criminal tax fraud, more than Hunter. And he's going to...
But that wasn't a political prosecution at all. No, not at all. I'm telling you, just the hypocrisy is just mind-blowing. It truly is. So what's really going on here? Hunter Biden's sweeping pardon covers a decade of potential criminal charges. President Biden became the latest to expand the limits of presidential power with breathtakingly broad pardon of his son Hunter, covering all federal crimes he may have committed over a decade. Legal analysts said they couldn't fathom an analogy for Mr. Biden's action, which covered an unprecedented period, has no limits on the types of crimes pardoned, and included a prospective pardon for any actions Hunter Biden may have taken Sunday night after the pardon was issued. Conservatives and many liberals said Mr. Biden stretched propriety and gave political cover to his successor, President-elect Donald Trump, to pardon all the participants in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. This is according to the Washington Times. The Federalist, I think they may have this exactly right. By pardoning his son, Joe Biden is protecting himself above all. President Joe Biden didn't pardon because he's a loving father who thinks his drug-addicted son was treated unfairly by the Justice Department. He pardoned Hunter to help cover up his own crimes, just as he'll likely pardon other members of his family before he leaves office in January. He's trying to protect himself, and this is one of the only ways he has left to do it. After all, President Biden is the one at the center of the influence peddling and bribery schemes that Hunter Biden was undertaking when he was vice president. Joe, not Hunter, was the one being bribed. It was his influence, not Hunter's, that was being purchased by Ukrainian oligarchs and Chinese businessmen, both during and after Biden was vice president. There's no Biden family business without the big guy. Focusing on Hunter's crimes and his pardon is a distraction from the far more serious crimes his father committed. Even Hunter's prosecution wasn't really about him or his misdeeds. The tax and gun charges were about protecting him from being indicted for more serious charges that could have implicated the president and forced him to answer questions about his involvement in Hunter's overseas business dealings. That's why Special Counsel David Weiss never indicted the younger Biden for failing to register as a foreign agent, allowing the statute of limitations to expire on that and other serious crimes. It was about protecting Hunter, but by protecting Hunter, he also protected himself. And we're talking about a period here of a number of years here, dating back to 2015, 2014. What was going on during that time frame? Well, according to the House Oversight Committee, they point out several things. Romania was going to go on September 28th, 2015. Vice President Biden welcomed Romanian President Klaus Iohannis to the White House. Within 5 weeks of this meeting, a Romanian businessman involved with a high-profile corruption prosecution in Romania began depositing a Biden associate's bank account, big money, which ultimately made its way into the Biden family accounts. He made 16 of the 17 payments totaling over $3 million to the Biden associate account while Joe Biden was vice president. Biden family accounts ultimately received approximately about $1.038 million. The total amount from Romania to the Biden family and their associates over $3 million. In 2017, it was all about China. In 2014, it was Kazakhstan. Ukraine. I mean, this guy was going to all the places around the world and taking in money And a lot of this happened when Biden was vice president. They were selling influence. That's what is now being protected by this pardon of Hunter Biden. More in a moment, 22 after the hour. Say, I want you to change your thinking about the gift that you want to give to that special someone. Instead of giving them something that they may or may not like, why don't you give them an adventure? Give them an introductory flight experience from Tennessee Flight Training. You know, I just took the flight with these guys, and I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun. You will meet and fly with a certified flight instructor. My flight was out of B&A. We circled the skyscrapers of downtown. We looked down on Nissan Stadium, saw where they're building the new stadium, and even, looked at the beautiful Cumberland River. And you can book your flight out of, besides B&A, Murray County Regional or Shelbyville Municipal Airport. It could be for fun, or it could be your first step toward getting your pilot's license. Did you know the aviation industry is facing a pilot shortage? Help yourself or a loved one jumpstart a new career into this in-demand, high-paying profession. Right now, save $50 when you purchase an introductory flight experience before December 24th. For more details, call them at 1-800-669-0250 and learn more at tnflighttraining.com. That's tnflighttraining.com. Tennessee Flight Training, an adventure they will never forget.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The Biden administration reacts to the crisis in South Korea, and a Chinese national in the country illegally has been arrested in California for allegedly funneling weapons to North Korea. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom, in for Ken Weaver, and in the control room, it's Chris Weber pushing all the blinky buttons. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, back after a few days off after the holiday, and we're very, very glad to be back in the chair. I sort of felt like I was ready to get back in the chair today. I had things to say. I mean, I know all this stuff happened yesterday, but I have to say something about it. I can't just let it go by. My goodness, what an unbelievable turn of events. More stories about this whole thing. Biden's pardon of Hunter threatens to tarnish his legacy, writes TheHill.com. President Biden's decision to pardon his son Hunter in the final full month in the White House is threatening to erode his legacy, do you think? Biden is set to conclude his one term as president with a string of notable legislative achievements. Oh, my gosh. A fundamentally strong economy and having navigated the end of a once-generation pandemic. But in his final few months, which included his refusal to drop his re-election bid until late July, and his decision to pardon Hunter Biden and repeatedly saying he would not do so, is casting a cloud over the Biden presidency. It's been astonishing to watch Biden cast a long shadow over his many achievements, says Alex Coe, a presidential historian and biographer. The special counsel who was bringing these charges against Hunter Biden is adamant. This was not selectively prosecuted. There has never been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case. I can understand him feeling pretty upset about this because he's right. This wasn't about vindictiveness. This wasn't about political prosecution. President Joe Biden's claim about his sons being selectively prosecuted were unfounded, Special Counsel David Weiss's office said in new filings on December 2nd. There has never been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case, Weiss and other federal prosecutors told a federal judge in Delaware. In another filing lodged in a federal court in California, there was none and never has been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case. Weiss's office noted the number of judges, including some appointed by the president, had previously rejected similar arguments from the president's son. Prosecutors also pointed out that Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to tax charges brought in California federal court, while a jury convicted him of a gun-related crime in Delaware federal court. By the way, that one dismissed as I think yesterday or today. Lawyers for Hunter Biden gave notice to federal judges in California and Delaware. They say the pardon requires dismissal of both indictments against the president's son. When alerted to a pardon by a defendant or the government courts dismiss pending indictments and adjourn for future proceedings in those cases, the lawyer said, pointing to a series of precedents. Accordingly, dismissals of the indictment with prejudice and adjourning any future proceedings and entry judgment in this matter is now required. The mind is boggled by this. Never has there been such an outrageous abuse of presidential power. 31 past the hour, time for the news.
Yes, it is 3:31. I'm Jay Harper in for Ken Weaver, who's a bit under the weather today. I'll have all of your top stories here for you, and we'll also have a full forecast and a traffic report coming up. In defiance of South Korean President Yoon's order of martial law, the country's parliament has voted to lift martial law as outrage grows over its enactment in the streets. ABC's Karen Travers, she has the latest reaction from the Biden administration.
The White House says it is seriously concerned by the developments on the ground in South Korea and says it was not notified in advance of South Korean President Yoon's declaration of martial law. President Biden told reporters in Angola he was getting briefed on the situation. The U.S. ambassador to South Korea said in a post on social media the State Department and the U.S. Embassy are closely tracking Yoon's declaration and that the situation is fluid. and that the situation is fluid. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Federal prosecutors back here in the U.S., in fact in California, say a North Korean operative from China in the United States illegally has been sending North Korea military equipment for an invasion of South Korea.
Shenghua Wen is a Chinese national living in the U.S. illegally who federal prosecutors say has been running a federally licensed firearms business in Texas and has been buying military equipment and technology, secretly shipping it to North Korea. U.S. Attorney Martina Estrada says Wen's North Korean handlers wanted airplane engines and military uniforms
to help in conducting a surprise attack on South Korea.
Wen was arrested Tuesday morning at his home in Ontario, California.
Well, the U.S. House is likely to vote later this week on a measure forcing the release of a report on former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. ABC's Stephen Portnoy reports on that.
The resolution offered by Illinois Democrat Sean Casten would require the House Ethics Committee to immediately release its report on former Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz. Under House rules, the measure must come up for a vote later this week, but GOP leaders are likely to try to derail the effort with a motion to table it. Speaker Mike Johnson has said the Ethics Committee no longer has jurisdiction when a member resigns from the House, as Gaetz did last month.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Interstate 40 has not been the place to be here today. That is eastbound anyway. It has been closed near the airport between Donaldson Pike and Stewart's Ferry Pike since about 11 o'clock this morning. A pedestrian was struck and killed on the interstate this morning, and they've had the interstate closed there to investigate things. Traffic is backed up all the way down into the loop of downtown Nashville. So if you're just getting off work, getting on the interstate, wondering what's going on, well, that's what's going on, and it will continue to go on for quite some time. Also, 40 eastbound after Spence Lane, we got a crash there that's not helping matters any. And also 40 westbound before Fessler's Lane on the other side of the interstate. We've got a crash reported there. And finally, Ellington Parkway northbound after Cleveland Street over in East Nashville. We've got an accident there. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon. You can find it here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Restoration Wellness. By the way, before I get into that, can I tell you that I just jumped on the scales this morning, and because of the work I've been doing with Restoration Wellness and Med Spa, I'm down 30 pounds. They really can help you with that. But they also can help you with other things like treatments for arthrosis and chronic pain. Chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S. Chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of adults above the age of 65. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatment can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, and everything in between. They put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs. So let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. My friends Carly and Jamie will take good care of you like you're part of the family. Say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 40 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. We're bringing you news and information you can use. Get on home and wow them with the knowledge you pick up here on this particular broadcast. A reminder that my last day here is the 24th. The 24th. Boy, I tell you what, it's just like sneaking up on me.
Coming fast, yeah.
It is coming. It's coming fast. It's coming really, really fast. And just this weekend, for example, I went to church and sat down afterwards because Cabana wife insisted. Well, you're all dressed up for church, so I'm going to make you take some pictures. So she took pictures of me, dressed up with the dog and all.
Mm-hmm.
There, nice coat. Nasty old bulldog shedding all over everything. Oh. But no, so we took some pictures and I posted them and again, the continual nice messages that people, oh man, looks like retirement's fitting you pretty well, So everybody sort of had been very nice about it. And I just want to say thanks again for all the sweet comments that people have made. I'm going to be, by the way, I think in studio tomorrow morning there in Nashville. I think there's an announcement.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's an announcement that's going to be made. Maybe I've heard something about the 8 o'clock hour. Pay close attention. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, I'll be there. And I'll be dressed to the nines. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, guess what? I've been elected to a high office.
Oh, really? Trump gave you a cabinet position after all?
No, that wouldn't be an election. That would be an appointment.
That's right.
Yeah. So, no, I've been elected to the high office. You are now not only talking to your friend and radio buddy, but I am also the president of the Watertown Chamber of Commerce.
Ooh.
How about that?
Wow.
They don't know what they've gotten into. They've made a huge mistake, I'm sure. No, we have a little thing here called the Watertown and East Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. And last night, by unanimous vote, I mean, I looked around the room. I didn't see any other votes against me. I was named president.
Look at you.
Yeah. And so that's going to be something that I work on. One of the many things that I'll be doing post-retirement.
What'd you run on there? Campaign was free donuts for everybody?
That's right. I mean, I'm going to work to get a donut shop in Watertown. That's the top of my list now. But I do really look forward to it because I really love this little town. I mean, I've been here 3 years and I just love this town. I do. And I love the people in it. Some of the people that in this town have become good and dear friends. And I want to see it prosper and do well. And so I decided to take on that responsibility for the next year and see how it goes and see if we can get some things accomplished here.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to doing that. And I just want to point out, because everybody says, well, we're going to miss you. Well, I'm not going to be completely gone. I need to just stress this. I'm not going to be completely gone. I'm going to be hanging around, doing some stuff. We're talking about some potential projects that I might take on that will give me a voice on the station. I'll still be filling in from time to time. So, even though I'm not going to have a full-time show in the afternoons, I am going to be around. So, I don't yet like a bad penny. I keep showing up. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Always on tails, too.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So let's see. Tomorrow, in the highest court of the land, will be a test case for this whole issue about whether or not minors should be allowed to have transitional transgender surgery. In Tennessee, we passed a law that said that, look, if you are not a full adult in the eyes of the law, then you cannot have transition surgery. And by the way, we're not alone in this. About half of the states have passed something similar or passed other laws along these lines. But the Supreme Court took a look at the Tennessee law and decided that was the case that they wanted to sort of do a test on. So tomorrow, the Supreme Court will convene to hear arguments in the landmark case involving access to gender-affirming care like puberty blockers and hormone therapy for minors experiencing what some call gender dysphoria. The case concerns the constitutionality of a Tennessee law that bans this medical care for transgender adolescents. Half the states have measures on the books that are similar to Tennessee's, and advocates for transgender rights are warning that if the Supreme Court upholds the ban, it would open the door to state lawmakers outlawing gender-affirming care for adults. I'm not sure that's true. I think my position is the same as the legislator's decision, and that is, look, there's a libertarian streak that runs through me that says that, live and let live. But do young people who have not reached the age of adulthood, really, do they honestly know what's in their best interest? I mean, that's why they have parents, correct? That's why, they can't make legal decisions until they get older. And so I look at this and I say, if you are an adult and you are convinced that you were born in the wrong body, and you want to do something about it surgically or with some of these drugs and puberty blockers or whatever, whatever you want to do, if you're an adult, knock yourself out. I don't understand it. I don't endorse it. I don't have to endorse it, but I believe that if you're an adult and that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. You be you. I believe that, as an adult, you have the right to make that decision for yourself. But I don't think that people who have not yet reached the age of adulthood, I don't think their brains are done yet. I don't think they know what they really want. Just talk to any 12, 13, and 14-year-old, and you'll soon understand that, they're just not ready to make decisions at that level. And that's what the Tennessee law says, that you can't do this until you reach the age of adulthood. And I think that is the right balance here. Absolutely the right balance. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to restrict medical treatments, writes CBS News, for transgender minors and bar transgender athletes from participating in women's sports. And while the Biden administration will argue Wednesday that the Supreme Court should invalidate Tennessee's law, the incoming Trump administration could reverse the government's position once it is in power early next year. Here's the Washington Times. Supreme Court to take up the challenge over medical treatments for trans youth. Psychologists are igniting debate ahead of the Supreme Court hearing Wednesday on a legal challenge to ban on a state ban on medical treatments for transgendered youth. It's known as SB 1 in Tennessee. It prohibits the use of puberty blockers and sex reassignment surgeries for minors, enacted in 2023 by the state legislature, signed into law by Bill Lee. Some mental health experts say providers need access to these treatments for clients who are suffering from gender dysphoria. Another expert says he has seen the harm to patients who later decide to detransition. Joseph Burgo, a clinical psychologist and psychoanalyst, said he has counseled clients who have decided to detransition after receiving medical treatment for gender dysphoria. Many of his clients are men who detransitioned from living as a woman after realizing they weren't born in the wrong bodies. They were simply, as they put it, gay. Dr. Burgo's clinical experience demonstrates that gender-affirming medical care fails to address internalized homophobia in teenage boys, and he respectfully aims to assist the court by explaining this phenomenon. He actually filed in support of the state law. Internalized homophobia and feelings of gender incongruity are mental health issues, and SB 1 properly protects children from irreversible and harmful medical interventions before they come of age. Mr. Burgo's argument is based on his experience and research, which suggests that gay boys are bullied and feel immense shame. They look to escape that shame in one way or another, and some accept the narrative that they were born in the wrong body, according to his filings. The justices will decide whether Tennessee law violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, which requires government to treat everyone equally. It is the first major transgender case that the justices have agreed to hear since 2020. The American Civil Liberties Union and the Justice Department brought the dispute over Tennessee law. By the way, the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals let Tennessee ban take effect. So it is in effect today, pending this case and a decision from the higher court. Look, the thing I look at here is that I just don't think their brains are done yet. They're not ready to make these kinds of decisions. We often pass laws to protect minors from things that adults are allowed to do. We say you can't buy tobacco. You can't, not supposed to buy tobacco. You can't drink. You can't drive till you're a certain age. If you are a child, a small child or a toddler, we pass laws that require you to be safely secured in a child seat. So, we do all kinds of things to protect the people before they become adults. And this is simply another one to allow them to grow to maturity so they can make a reasoned decision as an adult. We'll of course, be watching this tomorrow, and I'll bring you all of the details of what the high court said and did in this particular matter. 51 past the hour. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, comprehensive medicine. They have come up with this thing called a basic smart care plan for just $69 a month. It includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Gray Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there are no long wait times or in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. And, some people are still having problems with the late fall, early winter season. The allergies do exist this time of year especially. Don't suffer through this seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Call this number, 599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The Trump transition team and the Biden administration, they've reached an important agreement. We'll fill you in on what that's about. And drones, a problem at NFL games. You will be stunned at how big of a problem it is. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Take a look at the markets. We got a pretty good, mixed board here today. Dow Jones Industrials down 76 points. S&P up just a hair, about 2 points. NASDAQ was up about 76. I think that's another record for the S&P. So there we have it. What's driving all this? Well, let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management to see what's going on today. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, this week is really all about the jobs report on Friday. The market is relatively flat today. S&P and NASDAQ, to your point, did have a gain that was a record again, not much of a day in terms of being up. The market was watching the jobs opening report that came out with 372,000 more, which was up to 774 million. That was higher than what the market wanted to see. And this is one of several reports that's going to come out this week about the all-important jobs report. It's going to be on Friday. Now, the Fed's going to speak tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see if he gives us some clues about what their next move will be with interest rates. And the traders right now on Wall Street are pricing in about a 72% chance of a rate cut. But the jobs report on Friday and what the Fed says tomorrow will be a key component to whether they do that or not.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And to find out what John Maxon and the other good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 59 past the hour. You know, if you've been around here a long time, you already know that Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee, been the place to go for some 24 years, and we've gotten to watch them grow. And, you know, it's been a while now, but they did open one over in Mount Juliet, a new branch of their business over there, right on Mount Juliet Road, across the street from the Dairy Queen. It's a beautiful facility. Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now in Mount Juliet. And it's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in a barn in the backyard of his single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. So call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Good afternoon. We are coming up on 2 minutes past 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a forecast for you and a traffic report in just a few minutes. The Trump transition team says it has reached agreement with the Biden Justice Department on FBI background checks for the president-elect's nominees. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
After weeks of behind-the-scenes back and forth, the Trump transition now says it has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Justice Department that would facilitate background checks and access to classified material. There is no guarantee, however, that President-elect Trump will put any or all of his nominees up for FBI investigations. Senators of both parties have pointed to decades of past practice insisting on FBI reviews before they're asked to decide on presidential appointments.
An ongoing security issue of drones on game days is what NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke to congressional leaders about. That's according to the Associated Press. We hear more on that from ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
The talk took place Monday, says a person with knowledge of the meeting to the AP. Unapproved drones have become a problem for various sports leagues. The AFC Championship game in Baltimore last January was stopped because a drone violated the restricted airspace. The NFL says there were over 2,800 drone flights into restricted airspace during games last season.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, they sent crews to inspect an overpass after it was hit by a semi-truck this morning in Hickman County. TDOT reported that a tractor-trailer that was hauling salt was headed for a water treatment plant in Davidson County when it hit the Highway 48 overpass and turned over at about 10 o'clock this morning. The truck was severely damaged, and the salt in the truck was spilled all over the highway. TDOT was sent to the scene and determined the overpass suffered no structural damage. And finally, we've been talking about it pretty much all day here. Interstate 40 eastbound at mile marker 16 was closed in Nashville for several hours today after a pedestrian was struck and killed in that area at around 11 o'clock this morning. The interstate has just been reopened here about 20 minutes ago, but it's going to take a while for the traffic to begin clearing now on I-40 eastbound. So just have some patience as you hit the interstate here, getting off work this afternoon. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Again, that accident that had the interstate closed there between, well, this is 40 eastbound near the airport between the Donaldson Pike and Stewart's Ferry Pike exit. The accident's been cleared, the interstate back open, but 40 eastbound is still a mess. We've got more accidents further up the road. We've got a crash now, 40 eastbound at exit 212, another one 40 eastbound at exit 213, and another one across the road there, 40 westbound at exit 212. So Not smooth sailing there by any means. And also 24 eastbound just after Briley Parkway. The left lane's blocked there. That's exit 54 due to a crash. I'm Jay Harper. We've got traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 8 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock, bringing you news and information. And this is hour number 2 of the drive. Well, we already had a pretty exciting hour number 1. Let's get after it. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about here. What is happening right now is the transition from one administration to the other. And you got to watch all the things that are going on there because, Donald Trump's success will be measured by how much he can accomplish. And to accomplish that, he's got to have his team around him. There's been another nomination for FBI director, a guy by the name of Cash Patel. And it is catching a little flack from the liberals. I mean, again, let's just talk about this guy's background, right? Son of Indian immigrants. A lawyer by trade, started his career as a public defender in Miami-Dade County, Florida. He has been a prosecutor at the Justice Department. He was chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense during the first Trump administration. In 2020, he was principal deputy to the acting director of national intelligence, Richard Grenell. So this guy's an accomplished individual. There's no doubt about it. He's held very high positions and has been doing very well. But here's where he runs into the problem in Washington right now, according to the Populist Times. Patel has made a name for himself as a diehard Trump ally. It's his support of the president that causes people to have a little heartburn. That's why Democrats can't stand him. Andrew McCabe, former FBI guy, you know that guy. Most amusingly, he said the move is a terrible development for the men and women of the FBI and also for the nation that depends on a highly functioning, professional, and independent FBI. Well, I'm not sure his FBI was all that independent back in the day. I really am not. The FBI's reputation in the eyes of Americans has dropped dramatically over the years. Harry Enton, the number cruncher over at CNN, looked at some of the polling that had been done about how Americans feel with regards to the FBI, and it has the opinion that people have about the FBI has dropped precipitously.
Look, I think Patel has real reason to believe that Americans would go along with changes that he might potentially make at the FBI, and there's a reason why Donald Trump feels like he can make this change. It's because if you look here, FBI is doing an excellent or good job. Look at this time trend line. You go back to 2014, right? It was 59% of Americans, then 57% in 2019, 50% in 2022. Look at where we are today. My goodness gracious, just 41% of Americans think the FBI is doing an excellent or good job. That is by far the lowest number this century.
And among Republicans, when asked the question, do you agree with this statement, the FBI is doing a bang-up job, 26% of Republicans agree with that statement. So you can tell that the FBI's reputation is tattered at the moment. And Patel wants to come in and make some big changes. Here are some of the things according to the Washington Examiner, that Cash Patel said he wants to do. And it's an interesting list of things. Number one, he wants to shut down the FBI Washington, D.C. headquarters, the old J. Edgar Hoover building on Pennsylvania Avenue. It's been home to the FBI since 1974. When I arrived in Washington, they were talking about replacing that building and moving somewhere else. And yet it's still there. And the moving the FBI headquarters became a political football that got kicked around forever. But, I mean, it's long been talked about getting it out of downtown Washington, out of that building, because they've outgrown it. I don't know that that's what Patel has in mind. He just wants to decentralize the FBI. During a September interview on the Sean Ryan Show, Patel said, I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopen it the next day as a museum of the deep state. Then I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. That happens to be in the state of flux as the General Services Administration chose Greenbelt, Maryland recently as the location of a new FBI base. However, FBI Director Christopher Wray has expressed concerns about conflicts of interest in selecting the new headquarters site. Doesn't matter. In Patel's book, he encouraged the idea of moving the FBI headquarters out of Washington, saying it would prevent institutional capture and curb FBI leadership from engaging in political gamesmanship. Surveillance reform. During his appearance on the Sean Ryan Show, Patel also called for major reform of the FBI surveillance capabilities. Patel has always criticized how the FBI enacted surveillance under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. The stance is popular among Trump supporters and liberals alike who recognize surveillance mistakes in the investigation of Russia possible ties to the Trump 2016 campaign. Nonetheless, the FBI's leadership does not agree and feels the need to continue surveillance on terrorists and possible spies. There is a debate within the FBI regarding a provision of FISA known as Section 702. The provision allows the United States to bypass a warrant and collect communications of non-Americans outside of the country with the purchase of gathering foreign intelligence. This according to the Washington Examiner. Number 3, finding conspirators within the government and media. Patel has expressed interest in giving the government leeway to crack down on officials who anonymously disclose sensitive information and the reporters who write about it. The stance goes against the current Justice Department policy, which prevents prosecutors from seizing the records of journalists in leak investigations. And finally, decreasing the size of the intelligence community. He recommends that, though a lot of this does not fall within the purview of the FBI. He's advocated cutting CIA and the National Security Agency back, wants the FBI to break away from its intel shops. So there you have it. Now, how's this going over? Well, the Democrats are very concerned. The upper echelons of the FBI, no doubt, concerned. But an influential retired leader says that he's the right fix. And he seems to be speaking about exactly where people are with regard to this, who are in the rank and file of the FBI currently. Mike Davis spoke with John Solomon on his program.
Mike, I want to talk about the one complication, which is the Senate can't consider this until the vacancy opens. Does Chris Wray get fired or does he resign? What's your prediction?
I hope Chris Wray, the FBI director, is smart enough to bow out gracefully, because he will be publicly humiliated if the president has to fire him. Not only will there be a political humiliation, there will be a legal humiliation, because the Supreme Court of the United States will definitely hold that the President of the United States has the constitutional power under Article 2 to fire the FBI director. And that statute calls for up to a 10-year term. It's not a 10-year term. It's up to a 10-year term. And the whole point of that was Congress was very concerned after J. Edgar Hoover consolidated too much power as the FBI director for decades. And so that's the point of this statute. It's an up to a 10-year term. The president can hire and fire an FBI director anytime he wants. He serves at the pleasure of the president.
It would be great if Wray would go ahead and just resign. But it may have to wait until January 20th and have Trump fire him on day one, so they can begin the process of doing the confirmation of Cash Patel. Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jeff Danick told Just the News in a wide-ranging interview on Monday, the guy is completely 100% qualified to run that organization. He's what's needed today. He is the right fix. So there you have that. Marsha Blackburn predicts that Cash Patel will release Epstein's flight logs and Black Book as FBI director. This according to the Tennessee Star. U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn on Sunday predicted Cash Patel will release both the flight logs and client list held by Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficker who allegedly committed suicide in a New York jail in 2019. Blackburn said during appearance on Sunday Morning Futures on Fox that Patel's unique level of experience working in government qualified him for the position. He then expressed optimism he would help secure the release of Epstein's client list and flight logs. Cash Patel has more experience than just about anybody coming into this position. He's been a prosecutor, noted Blackburn. He's been the deputy DNI, Director of National Intelligence. He's been the chief of staff at the Department of Defense. He has a well-rounded background. The senator shared a clip from the appearance of the social media platform X, where she predicted, I am confident Epstein's flight logs and Black Book will be brought to light so we can break apart these sex trafficking rings. Blackburn first endorsed Trump's nomination of Patel on Saturday, writing that she looked forward to working with him to release the flight logs and the current list. She said, under the Trump administration, the American people are going to get the answers that they've been looking for. Cash Patel argued that the FBI director should release the full Covenant Killer Manifesto. This again from the Tennessee Star. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee to lead the FBI, Cash Patel, said in a recently resurfaced interview that the FBI director has the power to release major classified documents, including the manifesto left by Covenant school killer Audrey Elizabeth Hale and the client list once held by disgraced financier turned sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and urged Trump to promise full declassification upon entering office. Well, I think that would be a good thing as well. Look, I mean, the whole idea of what Trump is doing is we're going to go in and try to really make a revolutionary change in the way Washington operates. For too long, Washington has lost its way. They forget who the boss is, and they forget what their role is. And they think they are more powerful than the people who actually give them that power, that is, the people who cast votes. And he wants to decentralize and de-swampize Washington. And a guy like Cash Patel needs to go in there. Again, I don't have a problem with most of the men and women on the front lines. I think they are patriotic, most of them patriotic individuals who are all about enforcing the law. But I'm telling you, the J. Edgar Hoover building has become a snake pit. That's where the executives all preside, and they have become far, far too political. Time to clean out that viper's nest and start over. 20 past the hour. King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood, been in business over 25 years, independent agency. And I'll tell you, that's exactly what you want. Why? Well, an independent agency can shop around. They don't have to take the one product, that they have on the shelf like a lot of other insurance companies, suppose internet companies, for example. They got one product that they can sell you in that regard, and that's it. Take it or leave it. But no. At King Insurance and Associates in Brentwood, they can look at a bunch of different companies and find that one policy that really meets your needs. And if you call this number, 615-329-8121, you don't reach a call center, you will talk to an actual human being who will take care of your problem or find somebody very quickly who can. I mean, what a difference that makes. I mean, you're not going to get stuck hours and hours waiting to resolve some insurance issue. Multi-policy discounts are really where you can save a ton of money, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance and Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Could your Nashville business's private surveillance video end up being not so private? Well, we'll have that story, as well as the day's closing money news at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, it's starting to look a little like Christmas here in the home studio here in bucolic Watertown. Those watching on Super Talk TV will notice that Buddy the Elf has been returned to his rightful position right over my, I want to say that's my left shoulder. And then there's the Christmas tree. We're not quite through with the Christmas tree. It's got a little problem. It's dark at the top.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
That troublesome string of lights that goes out and you got to track down what's wrong with it.
It's just, it never ends, does it?
I know. I think this is I think I'm correct in saying the 16th tree.
Wow.
I know. It's insane. It's insane. Christmas trees have been going up since about Halloween around here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
you got that many. It takes that much time, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it is beginning to look a little like Christmas around here. And the traditions of this studio have returned. So take a look on Super Talk TV and get a gander at all that. I don't like it when, you look outside. I mean, look outside right now. I can't even see outside, but it's pretty close to dark, right?
Well, not quite. Yeah, it's still a little bit of daylight, but it's getting there.
It's evening time, really, basically. I mean,
pretty close. Yeah.
It's pretty close, right? And I hate this time of year when it gets dark at 4:30, 4:45, 5 o'clock. It's just, it's like, it's too early for it to be dark. Well, get this. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are apparently floating the idea of doing away with changing the clocks twice a year and staying on daylight saving time permanently. This, according to the Washington Post initially. Story I'm reading from comes from Newsmax. However, it's unclear if the two men whom President-elect Donald Trump have chosen to run the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, were seriously considering a new policy or just throwing out suggestions on social media. Looks like the people who want to abolish the annoying time changes, Musk wrote last week, linking to a user online poll that found most wanted to end daylight saving time. The practice of shifting clocks forward an hour in March and back one in November is intended to maximize the exposure to sunlight during working hours, but it had long been blamed for causing groggy mornings, missed appointments, and even some health problems. It's inefficient and easy to change, wrote Ramaswamy. In the follow-up, Musk said Senator Mike Lee of Utah did indeed want to end the time changes. One or the other. But I think the correct way to go would be to move to daylight saving time and stay there.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go.
I think that's the right way to go. Personally, that's the way I feel about it. But I mean, I do find it interesting that this is some of the ideas. I don't, you never know with those guys whether they're spitballing. But I mean, it's been out there and it's been discussed time and time and time again. It's just like they will never bring it up for a vote in Congress. For some reason, they can't get it to the floor for a vote. But, with the pressure from the president and Elon and Vivek, maybe that could happen. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'll be glad when we get to what is it about this is the third, about 17 more days or so. Then we start getting the days start to get longer again.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're almost to the I think the 20th of December. Is that when
I think that's right. 20th or 21st.
The first day of winter is the shortest day of the year. I mean, and people say, well, it's
21st.
Yeah, the 21st. So the 21st, this will be 18 days. Or what? 15 days. 15 days. And then that would make it then we start to get longer incrementally every day. And so this is the time of year that I sort of, it's like you're driving around at 2:30 and it's already, it looks like late afternoon,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't like it. And I would be happy to be on permanent daylight saving time and just make that change once and for all. But let's see, there's a million ideas. I think with Ramaswamy and Musk, they're sort of like some people that I've seen along the years that have a gazillion ideas. And there needs to be somebody who says, that's a good one. And maybe we hold off on these others for a while. Let's have to do some triage on your list of things. Because I think they got so many ideas, but I like that one for sure. 4:30 now on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. I'm Jay Harper. It is 4:30, and I've got your top stories. We'll get you a weather forecast and an updated traffic report here momentarily. Nashville's mayor and the Metro Nashville Police Department, they're making a final push for Metro Council support for FUSIS. That's the program that lets police tap into private business surveillance systems.
Metro Police are hoping City Council will vote in favor of allowing it to expand the use of FUSIS. That's the program that has local businesses volunteering the use of their surveillance video to help solve crimes.
These cameras just provide a story of what's going on at that moment in time. And that story helps us to make better decisions, to respond faster, to get more resources in the area.
But not everyone is on board. Some residents have testified about their fears, whether those fears are founded or not.
The very, very likelihood that we will have mass deportations in a couple of months, the very likelihood that people who leave this state to go and get abortions will be tracked.
Council is taking this issue up for the third time tonight. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Now let's turn to the day's closing money news. For that, we have Michelle Franzen.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks closed mix on new economic data. The Dow lost 76 points, the S&P was nearly even, and the Nasdaq added 77. Job openings rose by 372,000 to 7.7 million in October, but the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey finds fewer hires were made last month, while the rate of people quitting rose 2%. A key member of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors, Christopher Waller, says he's leaning towards supporting an interest rate cut in 2 weeks, but he also says evidence of persistent inflation before then could change his mind. South Korean stocks rebounded in a chaotic trading day after the president declared, then lifted martial law over political upheaval. The FDA closed its investigation into the E. coli outbreak tied to McDonald's Quarter Pounder onions, saying there's no longer a safety risk.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Traveling on Interstate 40, in particular eastbound, has been an adventure today. We have a number of accidents that are popping up there. 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane, there's a crash. And also 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane is a crash. Also 40 eastbound at Briley Parkway, we've got a stall there that's interrupting traffic. And we are still, the accident has been clear that fouled up traffic all day due, sadly, to a pedestrian fatality on 40 eastbound near the airport. The accident has been cleared. The road's been open there for about an hour, but still quite a bit of traffic in that area. I'm Jay Harper. We've got traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's a reminder that if you've been thinking about buying a gun safe but been putting it off, now is the time to act. And, this would be a great gift for Dad. I mean, the whole family will get a benefit out of it, but it'd be great for Dad. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, and you don't pay any sales tax at all. So it's hunting season. Be sure you're keeping your gun safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall. These things are beautiful. DT McCall is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. It has to do with their policy on delivery and setup. Some charge $500 for delivery and setup of the big models and $300 for the smaller models. DT McCall and Sons delivers every safe free every time period. No setup charge as well. Security is important these days, and a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall can be used for valuables, cash, jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep your safe. You keep safe from theft or fire. So you can save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Just go to dtmccalls.com. That's dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
38 minutes past the hour. I'm Brian Wilson. Glad you're with us here on this Tuesday, December 3rd. Hope you're getting home safe. It sounds like the roads are a mess tonight. Just a all-out mess. Sorry about that. But while you're stuck in traffic, just listen to me and, try to use your time productively by learning stuff. I'll share with you about what's going on in the world around you. By the way, can I just say that I had a really pleasant experience the other day. I was up in Lebanon, me and the missus, and we just, we slipped into the Whataburger to get us one of them Dr. Pepper shakes.
Ooh.
I love those Dr. Pepper shakes. And a hamburger. We were sitting there, and we met this lovely family and a young man by the name of John. And John has been listening. His dad has been, exposing him to this program, and they listen to it in the afternoons, sometimes when they're out running around or, I guess, coming home after school, whatever it is. John's a big fan of the show. And so I got a chance to meet with John. He said, I said, John's parents are doing it exactly right. Just leave the radio on. It all comes in. The little minds will absorb it. The good stuff that they need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Set them off in the right direction when they're young. And he was such a nice and polite man. It's nice to meet John. I am constantly astonished how many times things like that do happen, though. Parents say, hey, my kids, we listen to you in the car. I guess I ought to clean up my act a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. That's why I have these buttons, that button and some others.
Yeah, I'm sure they love that one.
That's just for them.
Yeah.
The swamp is really going to be a different place. The Republicans will control the House. I'm sorry, the Republicans will cover the White House, the Senate, and by a narrow margin, the House. By the way, also a 6-3 conservative majority in the Supreme Court. Good time to be a conservative. But I'm a little worried about some of these defections. I don't know what to call them, not defections, but Trump has reached in and pulled out people who are in the House of Representatives as Republicans and appointed them to positions within his new administration. And you don't want him to have his right people around him, but it really does create a complication over in the House of Representatives. Fox News is pointing this out today, and I had not really stopped to think about it in these terms, but a single House race stands between Republicans and a one-seat majority. Just one out of the 435 Houses race remain uncertain. There's still an undeclared House race yet. One out of 435. But here's the story they wrote, and it's worth thinking about. House Republicans could begin the new year grappling with a one-seat majority, a perilously slim margin for the 119th Congress, as President-elect Donald Trump guns for an active first 100 days. Last-minute GOP losses and exits in favor of the new administration mean Republicans could begin that period with precious little room for dissent, and one congressional race could decide the difference between a likely 1- or 2-seat majority. In California's 13th congressional district, Representative John Duarte is fighting for his political life against Democrat Adam Gray. As of Monday, Gray leads Duarte by a few hundred votes, a margin of roughly 0.1%. California law states that the county certify their election results before December 5th, which would be in 2 days from now. If Democrats flip a seat, the House would have 220 Republicans and 215 Democrats. However, 3 Republican lawmakers' departures are expected to whittle down that further. Now, former Representative Matt Gaetz resigned from the 118th and 19th Congresses amid consideration to be Trump's attorney general. That washed out. House Conference Chairwoman Elise Stefanik was tapped to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and Representative Mike Waltz of Florida was named his national security advisor. Now, all 3 lawmakers represent very deep red districts, according to Fox News. There's a little concern that their seats will fall into Democrats' hand. However, with special elections to replace Gaetz and Waltz set for April, and Stefanik's not yet scheduled, the GOP may spend nearly all of the first 100 days controlling Washington's power centers with a 1-seat majority in the House. Therein lies a problem. At a likely 217 to 215 split between Republicans and Democrats, just one GOP lawmaker dissent could be enough to tie a House vote at 216 or 216. So 216 to 216 would be a tie. Okay, and let me just say, not that I wish ill on anyone, but what if a Republican lawmaker passes away? Well, it happens. Things happen. Like that. And if you just look at the actuarial tables, and you look at the age of some members of Congress, that it is always a possibility. House GOP Whip Tom Emmer, Republican Minnesota, brushed off concerns about the prospects of holding a 1 or 2 seat edge in a recent television interview on Fox Business. That's essentially what we've had over the last year for the better part of it. I've got to tell you, I don't give a darn whether it's 222, 225, 218. As long as we have a majority, we can deliver with Donald J. Trump for the American people. But here's the thing. One member can really booger the whole thing. One House member can say, I just can't go along with this particular part of the Trump transition, or the Trump agenda. One. And then there you are. You get it through the Senate, probably no problem. You get it to the House, one House member can screw up the entire deal, and we've seen this happen from time to time. Now, it does help when the Republican president can pick up the phone and call the person and say, get over it. But that it can be a very tricky political situation. So let's see where we are on this stuff. Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida. As you know, he was picked for Attorney General and then washed out. He resigned the House quickly after Trump's announcement in preparation for the nomination, but some Senate Republicans signaled he has an uphill battle. Gaetz dropped out. Let's see. His district includes the northwestern tip of the state, all of Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Escambia counties, in addition to some of Walton County, Florida. I know it well. Florida set the date for the special election to fill Gaetz' seat, with the primary for the special election taking place January 28th, the special general election being held April 1. So that's one. Representative Mike Waltz, Republican of Florida. He's going to be the national security advisor, expected to resign from Congress on January 20th. His appointment does not require Senate confirmation, but nonetheless, he'll be taken out of the ranks. And so when is that going to happen? I don't have a date on that. Oh, April 1st, same thing. Elise Stefanik, Republican of New York. Trump nominated Stefanik to be U.S. ambassador to the UN. And Stefanik has not yet resigned Congress or publicly outlined when she expects to officially step down. Her role requires Senate confirmation. Mark Molinaro, a Republican of New York, has been mentioned. Unlike Florida, where the states hold primaries for special elections, parties choose their candidates to run New York in special elections. Hochul, the governor there, required to set the date for a special election within 10 days of Stefanik announcing her resignation, and the special election must happen within 70 to 80 days. So it'd be a long time to sort of wait for that to get done. Long story short, it's going to be a little tight in the House of Representatives until those elections are held. Now, I do have some confidence that each of these seats are deep red state seats, and Republicans should easily win there if good candidates are chosen. So we'll see how that all happens. But one way or the other, it will be something to watch. Over in the Senate side, interesting story here today. I saw this in several places. This one from the Washington Examiner. John Thune, the majority leader of the Senate, the incoming majority leader, has outlined his plans for 2 reconciliation bills at a Senate policy retreat on Tuesday. The first, to be passed within 30 days of President-elect Donald Trump taking office, would tackle energy, defense, and the border. A second package would reauthorize expiring cuts later in the year. Each is designed to circumvent the filibuster and get through the Senate with a bare 51 votes. Thune will be working closely with Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson to enact an agenda after Republicans swept both chambers of Congress and the White House in November elections. Thune signaled a break in the leadership style as Senator Chuck Schumer, freshly elected as a minority leader, prepares to hand over control of the Senate floor. Speaking to his Republican colleagues at the Library of Congress, just across the street. That's not much of a retreat. You just walk across the street. Thune said the Senate will be in session on Fridays, and he will clamp down on how long he allows votes to stay open. Cracking the whip, Thune is. They will currently, senators depart town on Thursday. There's an old saying in Washington, one of the most dangerous places you can be is on the road between Capitol Hill and Reagan Airport at about 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. Because as soon as that gavel drops, they're gone. Headed back home. But they're going to be working a full 5-day a week, and they're going to try to do a 100-day or 30-day sprint to pass border and defense bill. Love that. So, again, it's all going to be fine in the long run, but in the short term, I'm a little worried about the House of Representatives and how thin the margins are there. Wherever, basically any one member of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives can put a monkey wrench in things. So we'll continue to watch that. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's a pretty thin margin, and I worry about it. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. I wish it were true. I wish it was some kind of magic cream you could apply or take some pill and your spinal pain would go away. But in most cases, spinal pain is pressure on your nerves. And to solve that, well, in most cases, you have a couple of choices: surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It's been good for me. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer the highest, they have the latest high-tech equipment and offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. They're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off their KT knee machine is revolutionary. It's like spinal decompression for the knee. And here, if you're a new patient, you get an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment. That's only $23. And you've got that on you. So I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
A Chinese national arrested in California for allegedly funneling weapons to North Korea. We'll have that story. Also, it's been a record-setting shopping season so far, and it was a record-breaking election season here in Tennessee. We'll have those stories for you at 5 p.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm not sure I can pardon Biden's pardon. Pardon me, what the heck did he just do? I know this happened yesterday, but I wasn't here yesterday. And I got a lot to say about this pardon, and I'll do my very best to keep a civil tongue. It will take a lot of effort. So Chris may have to hover his finger above the red button because it really irritates me. It's all coming up in the next hour right here on The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. United Structural Systems, boy, a very good company. They've been around here for, more than 30 years, more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. And what they do is they do it like they're the gold standard, really, honestly. You got foundation issues, and you'll know it because you'll see the walls bowing or the doors or windows sticking or the drywall separating or the telltale sign of those cracks, stair-step cracks in the brick. Yeah, you've seen. Well, I actually had some of that happen at my house. I had them come out. They did a fantastic job. You can't even tell where the problem was. And then the other thing they do is waterproofing. They looked underneath my house and they said, you know what? We really need to make this a drier space. And to do that, they put in some sump pumps and really worked it and put in a new liner. And I'll tell you what, that used to be a scary place. I didn't ever want to go in there. Now I have no issues going in there if I need to because it looks great and it's dry as a bone. That's what you need. So listen, if you've got these issues at your home, there's just one company you want to call for that or for concrete leveling. They can make it all nice, level, and plumb with their PolyLift system. Don't replace it, raise it. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Again, 615-488-7855. Learn more at ussTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a full forecast and a traffic report in just a few minutes. A Chinese national who is in the country illegally is under arrest now in Ontario, California, for allegedly working for North Korea by securing military gear. And the gear was allegedly going to be used to attack South Korea. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
North Korean handlers of alleged operative Shanghua Win allegedly told him they were requesting military gear, airplane engines, and military uniforms for a surprise attack on South Korea. For years, Win in the U.S. illegally from China has allegedly been working for the North Korean government, getting them weapons and military gear. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada.
The conduct alleged in this complaint is chilling.
Win allegedly shipped gear to North Korea out of the port of Long Beach in California through Hong Kong.
Big-time holiday shopping. Numbers released by Adobe showing a record $13.3 billion, yeah, that's with a B, $13.3 billion spent yesterday alone. That's up more than 7% over what is referred to as Cyber Monday from last year. Here's ABC's Alexis Christoforous. Yes, she has details on mobile buying.
Apparently, we're getting a lot more comfortable making purchases using these. Back in 2019, just 33% of purchases were made with the mobile device. This year, 57%.
Police arresting a suspect Tuesday after he allegedly shot a man here in Nashville in a carjacking. The Metro Police Department said the incident happened this morning, yes, about 11:45 a.m. That was outside the Maple Crest Apartments along Natchez Court. Authorities said the suspect, who's yet to be identified, shot the victim, stole his car outside the apartment complex. The victim reportedly sustained serious, but at this point deemed to be non-life-threatening injuries. And the numbers are in now in Tennessee and showed up in big numbers to vote during the presidential election. The Secretary of State's Division of Elections said yesterday that just over 3 million voters turned out to vote on November 5th, and about 2 million cast their ballots early and in person. Both of those figures breaking records here in Tennessee. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they'll pick up all 11 electoral votes from the volunteer state. That is the latest news. We'll have traffic and weather for you next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Interstate 40 eastbound has been an adventure today. We've got crashes at, exit 212, and then we've got traffic problems on 40 westbound at exit 212, right across the highway there. The right lane is blocked in Antioch now, 24 westbound at Harding Place. Also 24 eastbound as you head toward Murfreesboro, just after Sam Ridley Parkway. We've got a stalled vehicle that's interrupting things there in that area. I'm Jay Harper. We've got traffic for you here every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good evening, everyone. 5:07 on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock when we hand things over to Mark Levin, the great one. And until then, we're going to give you a lot of news and information and things that will make you angry, things that will make you think, things that may make you laugh. You may get a chuckle now and then. That's the goal here, to give you news and information. We take the news seriously, just not ourselves. That's the goal. But I can't be happy, and I can't pardon Biden's pardon. I just can't. I mean, this is unbelievable. How many times did he tell us? How many times did Karine Jean-Pierre stand there and answer the question when asked, time and time and time again? Is Biden gonna pardon Hunter? No. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in the rule of law until we don't any longer. This weekend, I don't know what happened. Apparently, Jill, some of the stories go that Jill and Hunter sat him down and said, "Come on, Dad, you got to do this before you leave. You got to clear the decks." There's another line of thinking here that by pardoning Hunter, he is, in fact, protecting himself from any kind of prosecution. One way or the other, his word doesn't mean squat. His word doesn't mean it's not worth a hill of beans. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The pardon has taken place, and here is the result thereof. Hunter Biden's gun case terminated after the pardon. But federal judge stops short of full dismissal. FoxNews.com. Federal judge overseeing Hunter Biden's gun trial terminated further court proceedings in his case on Tuesday in the wake of President Biden's sweeping pardon that shields his son from being prosecuted for all offenses that he has committed or may have committed from January 1st of 2014 through December 1st of 2024, a 10-year period. U.S. Judge Mary Ellen Noriega, the presiding judge in Biden's trial in Delaware, announced Tuesday the termination of all further proceedings in that case, citing the clemency grant signed by an outgoing president. Judge Noriega stopped short of dismissing the case outright, however, as requested by Hunter's legal team. A Delaware jury found Hunter guilty this summer of all 3 felony firearm charges that had been brought before the court by prosecutors. Prior to the sweeping pardon announcement, his sentencing date had been scheduled for December 12th. We were just a few days away. In announcing the pardon, President Biden criticized what he called the unfair investigation and prosecution of his son, a process that he said was, quote, infected by politics and led to a miscarriage of justice. Well, I believe in the rule of law until I don't. If he thinks this was infected by politics, then how in the world can you describe what the Justice Department did to Donald Trump? I mean, come on. No reasonable person, he said, looks at the facts of Hunter's case, can reach any other conclusion. Well, I'm a reasonable person, and I come to a completely different conclusion. To suggest that anybody who disagrees with him is unreasonable is, you know what? Yeah, no, reasonable person. There are a lot of reasonable people who can look at this and say he should have been prosecuted. In fact, I think it's unreasonable to give him a pardon, if you want to know the truth. Now, there's another case out there, of course. Hang on, I'm turning the page. He's also pleaded guilty on tax evasion charges in California, which the pardon also covers. The judge in that case, Judge Mark Scarsi, has not yet announced whether he will terminate the proceedings against Hunter or dismiss the case in full. We'll stay on top of all that. So here's another take on it from the Washington Times. President Biden became the latest to expand the limits of presidential powers with his breathtakingly broad pardon of his son Hunter, covering all federal crimes that he may have committed over a decade. Legal analysts said they couldn't fathom an analogy for Mr. Biden's action, which covered an unprecedented period with no limits on the types of crimes pardoned and included a prospective pardon for any actions Hunter may have taken Sunday night after the pardon was issued. Oh, he's full to commit any crime he wants to commit between now and the end of the year. Conservatives and many liberals have said Mr. Biden stretched propriety and gave political cover to his successor, President-elect Donald Trump, to pardon all the participants in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. The full and unconditional pardon applies to Hunter Biden's federal convictions of tax dodging, illegally purchasing and possessing a firearm, and covers any possible crimes for a decade. Wow. I don't know of any pardon that stretches back a full 10 years, said Josh Blackman, a constitutional expert and professor at South Texas College of Law. Had Hunter Biden murdered someone on Fifth Avenue during that time period, he could not be charged with a crime. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card for the past decade, and it's really remarkable. Clemency experts say they were unaware of a pardon covering a decade of possible crimes, including unenumerated charges. The only presidential pardon that comes even close are half that length. In 1974, President Ford issued a broad pardon of former President Richard Nixon that covered the Watergate scandal and all offenses Nixon may have committed during the 5 years in the White House. Nearly 100 years earlier, President Andrew Johnson pardoned former Confederate soldiers for their actions during the 4-year Civil War. This would make Nixon blush, said Jonathan Turley, who teaches constitutional law. Wow. Wow. Just unbelievable. President Clinton issued controversial pardons of his half-brother Roger, political megadonors Mark Rich and Susan McDougal, who had served a sentence for contempt of court because she refused to testify about the Clintons' involvement in the Whitewater scandal. But nothing like this. Nothing like this. House Republicans blasted President Biden's reversal on pardoning his son. This from townhall.com. House Speaker Mike Johnson pointed out the fact that the pardon covers offenses Hunter Biden committed or may have committed between January 1st of 2014 and December 1st of 2024. Said trust in the judicial system is almost irreparably damaged. President Biden insisted many times he would never pardon his own son for his serious crimes, Johnson said on X, but he suddenly granted a full and unconditional pardon for any and all offenses that Hunter committed for more than a decade. Trust in our justice system has been irreparably damaged by the Bidens and their use and abuse of it. You want to talk about abuse. He talks about, well, the Justice Department, it was weaponized against my son. Well, that's just rich, right? I mean, that's just unbelievable. I can't believe that they even tried to say that. Because it certainly, if they think that was politically motivated, then you have to look at all of the prosecutions of Donald Trump in the same light. Steve Scalise said, you've been lied to every step of the way by this administration and the corrupt Biden family. This is just the latest in their long cover-up scheme. They never play by the same rules they force on everyone else. It is disgraceful. James Comer, who did a lot of investigating of the Biden family in the Oversight Committee. Joe Biden has lied to you from start to finish about his family's corrupt influence peddling activities. Not only has he falsely claimed that he never met with his son's foreign business associates and that his son did nothing wrong, but he also lied when he said he would not pardon Hunter Biden. The charges Hunter faced were the tip of the iceberg in the blatant corruption that President Biden and the Biden crime family have lied about to the American people. It's unfortunate. Rather than come clean about their decades of wrongdoing, President Biden and his family continue to do everything they can to avoid accountability. And you know what? We were told Karine Jean-Pierre on Air Force One tried to make the case that, well, this decision was made this weekend. There's a report in NBC News that this has been the plan all along, that they had meetings where they talked about, well, we're not going to admit we're going to do it, but if Trump wins, we will do it. In some ways, though, however, this can play to Trump's advantage in a limited way, because as RedState.com has pointed out, Joe Biden just handed Donald Trump the mother of all mandates. You hear a lot of pundits talk about political capital, that invisible yet valuable currency that politicians have to spend in order to get his or her agenda advanced or nominees approved. It was thought that Trump, who had was handed gobs of political capital on November 5th, would have to spend some of the capital to get his more controversial nominees, like Robert F. Kennedy or others, approved by the GOP-led Senate. This may still be true, but Joe Biden just gave them something even better. Donald Trump was already looking at entering the second term with a pretty solid mandate from American voters who gave him the go-ahead to make good on his campaign promises. He won both the popular and electoral votes, and his party will control both chambers. As of Sunday morning, Donald Trump was sitting pretty. As of Sunday evening, Donald Trump was enjoying, to borrow some of Senator John Fetterman's words, a God-tier level mandate, all wrapped up in a nice bow by Joe Biden. Joe Biden's pardoning of his son, Hunter Biden, further diminishes an already neutered Democrat Party and empowers Donald Trump to an extent he probably hasn't been seen in modern times. No more can Democrats cry, no one is above the law, because their big guy just blew that idea to smithereens. What? I'm telling you. No kidding. The Hill writes, Biden's pardon of son Hunter threatens to tarnish his legacy. You think? If I were in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, I would come up with, when it came time to provide funding for the Biden Presidential Library, I would say this action requires that the Congress not appropriate any money for that. Raise it on your own. Get your Chinese friends to kick in the money. But not one red cent of taxpayer money should go to that endeavor, I'll tell you for sure. Special counsel says, you know what? He was not selectively prosecuted. Not at all. And David Weiss said in his filings, there's never been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case. In another filing, he said there was none and never has been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution. Weiss's office noted that a number of judges, including some appointed by the president, have previously rejected similar arguments from the president's son. But Biden didn't care about all of that. And by the way, just let me leave you with this thought. Even before this happened, nearly half of likely voters say they approve of President-elect Donald Trump issuing pardons for people charged with federal crimes related to the January 6th Capitol protests. That according to a Rasmussen Report survey. So about half. So there's 1,500 people have been charged for their January 6th actions. And Trump would be well justified in saying, well, what criticism is going to come of him for that at this point, after what Biden just did? 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Hey, listen, make this a magical Christmas with help from Genesis Diamonds. You will love what's happening this month at Genesis. They got 5-year, 0% interest financing across the board. So what does that mean? It means that you take any spectacular gift, divide the price by 60, and that is your payment. Everything is affordable. And guys, Genesis have what the women love, from simple diamond stud earrings to amazing, one-of-a-kind designer bracelets. Their showcases are filled with exquisite diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands. Can't miss gifts with exquisite craftsmanship and lasting value. All of Genesis' exclusive designers are showcasing their latest creations so you can get her something truly unique and special. And Genesis non-commissioned experts will help you pick out that gift that's sure to bring tears to her eyes on Christmas morning. Relax. No pressure at Genesis. They will make it so very easy. This year, get her the most romantic, most memorable gift of the season. Genesis Diamonds, best value, best selection, best quality, and best overall experience. Get holiday store hours, direction, and finance details at GenesisDiamonds.com. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Martial law lifted in South Korea, but the crisis between opposing factions remains. And tensions still in the air at the Israeli-Lebanese border after yesterday's breakout violence. We'll have those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 past the hour on this Tuesday, December 3rd. Hey, how about that snow, man? I don't know. I don't guess it was a problem anywhere, but it was sort of fun to see a few flakes.
Yeah, I think it was just mostly just nice to look at.
Yeah, it was pretty to look at, and it didn't really cause too many problems.
Nope.
I mean, I may be a problem here and there, but I mean, it was just nice. It's just one sad thing about it. It comes with cold temperatures.
Yeah.
If we could have the snow and not have the cold temperatures, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I don't think that would work, though.
No, I don't think it works that way. You're right, but it would have been nice, I'll tell you. But it was very. I got out last night. Was out driving around a little bit in it last night. It was really coming down there for a little while, but it just wasn't going anywhere. Wanted to talk a little bit about things going on in Tennessee and in Nashville specifically. Remember last year they tried to push this school voucher bill, and they couldn't get it through. They just couldn't get it across the goal line. And it failed during the 2024 legislative season, but it's back already on the board in the state Senate and the state House. Representative William Lamberth, Republican of Portland, and Senator Jack Johnson, Republican of Franklin, have introduced the Education Freedom Act of 2025. They did that in early November. They're the leaders of both bodies, respectively, Lamberth in the House, Johnson in the Senate. The House Senate bill, which is identical in language, put forth the Education Freedom Scholarship Act to empower parents with the freedom to choose the right education for their child and provide parents a say in where their taxpayer dollars are spent. This according to WSMV. So here's what it includes this time around. 20,000 scholarships for Tennessee students starting in the 25-26 school year. Scholarship amounts equal to the per-pupil base funds allocated to the public school student each year. 5,000 additional scholarships with universal eligibility added each year after 75% of total scholarships are taken in the prior year. Making sure that state funding to school districts will not decrease. That's important. I mean, that was always the plan. You can do both things. You can fund public schools, and you can allow parents, if they choose not to be in a public school that is failing, to do something better for their child. 350 private school eligibles to voluntarily receive education freedom scholarships. 2,000 bonus for every teacher in the state. How about that? 80% of all sports wagering dollars dedicated to building and maintaining K-12 public school facilities. So there you have it. I mean, it's an interesting approach. You know, I'll tell you what happens here. I think the existing school system and the school boards, around the state get a little upset because, well, you know what? It's different. This is different. Now, they were never going to take a penny away from public schools, but they feared that there would be an exodus from public schools into private schools, and they would lose a lot of students. And it was different. It was something, well, we've never done it this way before, and people hate change, don't they? They do. They hate change. So what I'm hoping is that, we can get past that, because look, if you like your public school, you'll still be able to go to your public school. But if your public school is not getting the job done, you as a parent will be empowered to do something different, something better for your child. And we should never stand in the way of parents doing something better for their child if the public school is failing. And my friends, I hate to tell you, a great number of them truly are. It's 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is 5:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We will get you that chilly weather forecast and a traffic report in a few minutes. In defiance of South Korean President Yoon's order of martial law, the country's parliament voted to lift the law as outrage grows over its enactment in the streets. ABC's Karen Travers, she's got the latest reaction from the Biden administration.
The White House says it is seriously concerned by the developments on the ground in South Korea and says it was not notified in advance of South Korean President Yoon's declaration of martial law. President Biden told reporters in Angola he was getting briefed on the situation. The U.S. ambassador to South Korea said in a post on social media the State Department and the U.S. Embassy are closely tracking Yoon's declaration and that the situation is fluid.
A tense calm returning to the Israeli-Lebanese border today after an eruption of cross-border violence yesterday. It was the first major flare-up since the U.S. brokered a ceasefire after 14 months of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Despite the flare-ups, many Israeli experts think the ceasefire will hold. Here's ABC's Jordana Miller reporting from Jerusalem.
Israel and Lebanon reaffirming their commitment to a U.S.-brokered ceasefire signed less than a week ago. That after the sides traded rounds late Monday, leaving 9 dead on the Lebanese side. The Israeli army defending its strikes, alleging Hezbollah is entering prohibited areas and attempting to fire and reclaim weapons. Defense Minister Yisrael Katz warning Beirut, if the ceasefire collapses, the IDF will hit not just Hezbollah, but Lebanese targets.
The House now expected to vote later this week on a measure forcing the release of a report on former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
The resolution offered by Illinois Democrat Sean Casten would require the House Ethics Committee to immediately release its report on former Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz. Under House rules, the measure must come up for a vote later this week, but GOP leaders are likely to try to derail the effort with a motion to table it. Speaker Mike Johnson has said the Ethics Committee no longer has jurisdiction when a member resigns from the House, as Gates did last month.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Yes, it has been quite the day today on Interstate 40 eastbound now. We still have an accident there that's disrupting traffic at exit 210C. Also now in the Madison area, 65 northbound, just before Dickerson Pike, we've got a report of a crash and the right shoulder remaining blocked due to a crash on 40 westbound at exit 212. That would be Fessler's Lane. I'm Jay Harper with traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, as we end the year or get close to the end of the year, it's time to sort of take stock of where things are and do an assessment of things. And maybe it's time to have somebody look at your portfolio, make sure you're still doing the right things. I mean, the elections could change a few things. Other things can happen. You know, when's the last time you had somebody look at your portfolio? Well, listen, there are steps you can take to be better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what's going on with the economy, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. Now, there's no cost, no obligation, and absolutely no pressure. But I think when you read this, you'll come up with some good ideas. Now, if you want to get this whole thing going, to get this Money Enough for Life book and retirement planning checklist and their retirement income white paper, just call this number. And I want you to write it down, 615-488-9303. Again, 615-488-9303 to get your free retirement ready toolkit. The number again, 615-488-9303.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It's 38 minutes past the hour. We normally would do the three amigos here, but one of our amigos is under the weather, so it'll just be me and Chris talking here for a few moments about some things. You know what? We have been here in Nashville, some of the great Christmas music that we listen to every season. I mean, there are some classics. There are songs that we've been playing them since the 50s or even beyond. And they just stand the test of time. And key among them, I mean, one that you got to put at one of the at the top or near the top of your list is this one by Brenda Lee. Remember? I dig, that recording stands up today.
Oh,
Listen
yes,
carefully.
it does.
A little back slap on the voice there. I just dig that. That's such a good sound. You know that most people don't know this, or they knew it, they forgot it. She was 13 years old when she recorded that song.
Yeah.
And you know what? Looking at her today, she's not much taller than a 13-year-old is now. She is a little itty-bitty tiny person.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, really, she attended a thing at the state capitol, and there's a picture of a couple of guys standing around, and one of them's the governor, and she didn't even come up to their chin. I mean, she can barely see over the podium. She's just a little, but she stood on her tippy toes when she was 13 years old in a studio controlled by Owen Bradley, and sang that song, and we've been listening to it every year during the holidays since. Well, it's now been made the official Tennessee holiday song. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a long time coming.
Yeah.
I like that.
This is a wonderful, wonderful honor, said Brenda Lee, a country music singer. I thank everybody for staying with me for all these years, for supporting my career and being my friends. The now holiday classic had an unlikely beginning. It was penned by a Jewish songwriter named Johnny Marks and sung by Brenda Lee when she was 13. She told reporters it was recorded here in Nashville during the heat of the summer to have it ready for the Christmas season. I think we all knew it was a magical song, and it proved to be. And the reason that it is because people liked it. It came to a whole new group of people because it was in the 1990s classic Home Alone.
That's right. That's probably the first time I heard it as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
More than likely.
Yeah. So it became number one after that for the first time ever. The Billboard Hot 100 charts. After that movie came out, it went to number one again. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think it went to number one the first time, but it went to number one this time. And it said, I never dreamed that. I mean, in the industry, you're lucky if you get in the charts. But she was at the state capitol, and they made a little presentation officially making Rocking Around the Christmas Tree the holiday song in the state of Tennessee, announced by Representative Jason Powell, and the governor, who was not expected to be in attendance, just dropped by and added his good wishes to Brenda Lee. She seemed a little tearful by it. None of us get to do it alone, she said. I'm not the only one to think in this circle. It's the A team of musicians. It's Owen Bradley. It's others. I think anybody could have sang it, she said. I'm just lucky I had it. That's so good. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I love these stories. You know, one year I did a bunch of stories about, the history of the songs that we sing around Christmas or that we listen to at Christmas time. Each of them has an interesting history and an interesting background, and that's right there among the top of them. Some of them, Jingle Bell Rock. I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
Recorded at 5 o'clock in the morning by a guy who just got it off an all-night flight from Canada. And he got in there, and he and the guitarist decided this song is really not very good. And they changed the lyrics, and they changed the chord structure, and they recorded it, I think, in like 2 takes. And they did the whole thing in 30 minutes. And then the guy went to the hotel to catch him up on some sleep. He woke up at noon, and the producer called him and said, "You know what? It's already gone gold." What they did in those days was they would take the recording and play it for people record store owners around the country on the phone, and say, how many do you want? Oh, yeah, give me, and by the time the guy woke up at noon, it was already a gold record.
Amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
They would play the tape over the phone, and, it's just astonishingly, what one of that story tells me is how good the musicians are in this town.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have been for years and years, that they could, while they're setting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, let's rewrite this chart. And completely redo the chart. And it's a song that we sing every year. And we don't know that it was casually put together in about 30 minutes in a studio in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those stories. Yeah. And amazing. We should revisit some of those great stories because each of those songs has a real interesting background. Did you see, Chris, that our friend Nate Bargatze is not doing just talk about a tour. First of all, I love this guy. I think he's such a very clever comedian. He is truly funny. And the thing I love about it is that it's harder to be funny and get laughs when you're clean. And he works absolutely family friendly.
Yep.
You can take a 6-year-old to one of his shows and you don't have a thing to worry about. Well, he's going to do a world tour. I added this up. It starts on the 8th of January in Las Vegas. He does I think it's about 9 or 10 Las Vegas shows. That's called a residency. Mm-hmm. So he'll be at the Wynn in Las Vegas for about 9 or 10 shows. Then he takes off around the country. Is that right? No, excuse me. And then he goes overseas.
Yeah, it goes to Europe.
Yeah, he goes April 6th. He goes to Oslo, Amsterdam, Paris, Glasgow, London, Manchester, Dublin, Dubai.
Wow.
Duluth, Minnesota. He comes back there. And on March 8th, after being all around the world.
May 8th.
Did I say May 8th? May 8th. I come back to Duluth on May 8th. And then he does, I think, I counted it up here, and I think it's about 57 additional dates around the country. I mean, he'll
just
be
basically
everywhere.
runs all the way from May through December.
Yeah, and the last show will be once again at Bridgestone Arena.
Going to try to break that record again.
Well, he can't break the record because he stole one of the chairs.
Maybe
Do
he'll
you
bring
remember
that one back.
Yeah, maybe he bring back that chair and maybe bring in another one so you can break that record, then take them both back. The story goes is that he sold out the arena and had a bigger audience than had ever been in that arena. And in order to make sure that record was never broken, he stole a chair. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it may be. I
bet it is true. I bet he did do it.
I bet he did. I bet they didn't care one bit.
Nope.
Because he's our native son. Grew up right here in the Nashville area, and he is just. I mean, boy, talk about somebody who has had a level of success. This guy has really had it, and it's really good. I love it when you see good people do well. And he's definitely one of those people, really just a decent guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what's really cool, I was looking at the tour dates in the States. He's playing a lot of cities that probably did not expect to get a stop on a tour like this, like Duluth, Minnesota, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Peoria, Illinois, Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's not just playing the big cities. Playing a show in Chattanooga, Tennessee in, let's see, where did it go? In June 1st.
June 1st, right.
Yeah, but he's playing a lot of these mid-market towns that may not be expecting or may not be used to getting a show of this caliber. So I think that's really cool that he's doing that.
And I'm looking at this. I don't see a lot of down days.
No, not very many, very few.
There are not many down days. So, I mean, he's just going to go at it. I mean, that is, I mean, think about this. You could do this tour. I mean, believe me. What is his overhead? Oh. I mean, he's not like he has to put a band and all of that together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy, and he walks on stage with a few of his friends, and the show is entertaining, and you love it. And it's called the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour because he thinks he has big dumb eyes.
Yeah, the little graphic that's on his tour page has got like a cartoon painting of him, and he's got enlarged eyeballs.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, but so anyway, he's gonna take off. But I mean, but I mean, think about what you make on one of these concerts. I mean, I think his tickets were reasonable. I thought they were, the most expensive tickets I've ever bought. Believe me, and I thought it was a good, it seemed like a fair price. But you fill an arena at that, and you have virtually no overhead except traveling and getting there, and a few lights and a microphone. That's it. It's very simple. And if you can go out on a stage and fill an arena, you do this tour, you could retire for life.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, really, honestly, it's just, good for him. Good on him. Good on him. By the way, listen to this. In those Las Vegas shows, he's doing 2 a day.
Yes, that's true. A 7:30 show and a 10:30 show. I was just looking at that.
That's very common in Las Vegas to do 2 shows, but wow.
Tickets for that are very reasonable. $115 you can get tickets for those shows in Vegas.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to get to
in
Vegas. But,
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I want to go to Vegas and go to that thing, the Sphere.
Oh, yeah, that thing is
wild.
wild.
And see the Eagles. I want to see the Eagles play there. I think they're still playing a few dates later.
Yeah, that would be quite an experience.
Yeah.
But people, I think there were some complaints from the acts there. It may have been the Eagles that were complaining because people were paying more attention to the Sphere than they were the music.
Yeah. That's an amazing thing, though. That Sphere is like it's a technical wonder.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to go see that. All right. Well, listen. It is now 50 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let me tell you about the folks over at Nashville Golden Coin. Listen, have you heard about this item that Costco keeps running out of? They're gold bars. They can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated records haven't stopped bullion from flying off the shelf. It's a good performing commodity, in many cases outperforming other assets. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. And you know where you can get gold when Costco doesn't have it? From my friends at Nashville Golden Coin. That's what they do. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and national online retailers, and they will not overcharge you. And as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Golden Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. So make an appointment today with Nashville Golden Coin. Go to NashvilleGoldenCoin.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full forecast and a traffic report are coming up. President-elect Trump already talking tough on Hamas, and he hasn't even mentioned them by name. Trump sending a very strong message to the terror group that they should release all the hostages from Gaza before he returns to the Oval Office. Trump's harsh remarks come as the IDF announced that one of the 7 American hostages is dead. ABC's Jordana Miller, she reports from Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and lawmakers here across the political spectrum praising President-elect Trump for demanding the release of Gaza hostages before he takes office on January 20th. In a social media post, Trump threatening if the hostages are not released, there will be, quote, all hell to pay in the Middle East and against the perpetrators, a reference to Hamas. The terror group holding 97 living and dead hostages, among them 7 Americans.
Back here in Nashville, police arrested a suspect today after he allegedly shot a man during a carjacking in South Nashville. Metro Police said the incident happened this morning at about 11:45 outside the Maple Crest Apartments along Natchez Court. Authorities said the suspect, who's yet to be identified, shot the victim, stole his car outside the apartment complex. The victim reportedly did sustain some serious injuries, but they are not thought to be life-threatening. Also, Metro Nashville Police, they're on the hunt for 2 women and a man involved in several violent robberies that apparently target women. The most recent robbery happening Sunday in the parking lot of a Family Dollar store. Police say a man grabbed a woman's purse, knocking her to the ground. She was put in the hospital with a head injury after her head struck the pavement. The suspects, they are thought to be traveling in an older white sedan. And the numbers are in, and Tennesseans showed up in big numbers to vote during the presidential election. The Secretary of State's Division of Elections said yesterday that just over 3 million voters turned out to vote on November 5th, and about 2.1 million cast their ballots early and in person. Both of those figures breaking records in the state. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they're going to grab all 11 electoral votes from Tennessee. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. In the Madison area, 65 northbound, just before Dickerson Pike, we have an accident. Also, Murphy Road at I-440, we have a crash. And the biggest problems, the usual places, 440 eastbound at the 24 East Junction, and also the Area 65 northbound as you approach 440. I'm Jay Harper. We've got traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good evening, everyone. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And then the schedule gets interesting after that. But we're going to be with you all the way up till 7 o'clock tonight. And by the way, if you're around in the morning, you might want to tune in the 8 o'clock hour. Just this is a fan tip.
Put it on your calendar, huh?
During the Dan Mandis program, Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis, you might want to listen.
8 o'clock hour, all right.
8 o'clock hour, yeah. I've been told to show up.
Duly noted.
No, that's right. Duly noted. That's what I say to Dan. No, I mean, I'm going to be there, and I don't know. Lingering questions might be answered. Just saying. Not for me to say. In fact, I'm probably going to get in trouble for just letting you know that much. There's so much going on in Washington right now. I just feel like we really got to stay focused on Washington. You know, you think that when you win an election as decidedly as Donald Trump did, when you win back the Senate, and you maintain the House, and you've got a conservative 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court, you would think, well, maybe it's time I can just take a deep breath and relax. But you can't. You can't, because there are big fights that are going to be ahead when it comes to the confirmation. The president needs to have his team around him, and there are going to be some battles over some of these people. I think there's going to be a battle over Cash Patel as the FBI director. But first, before we get anywhere with that, we have to get rid of the current FBI director. You may not know it, but FBI directors get 10-year terms, and they sometimes go beyond presidents. Presidents, some have gone from administration to administration without any kind of real issue at all. But you got to believe that Donald Trump is ready to change. In fact, I know he is, because he's nominated Cash Patel to run the FBI. There's just one little problem. Christopher Wray is the current FBI director, and he hasn't resigned yet. So he's either got to resign or he's got to be fired, and that might not happen until January 20th. I have a feeling probably Wray is hanging in there, so they have time to destroy all the documents. Make sure that there's nothing left behind. Whatever it is, Harry Enton says, we got to get rid of Wray first, but there's no doubt that the incoming president has the authority on January 20th, day one, to fire the FBI director.
Look, I think Patel has real reason to believe that Americans would go along with changes that he might potentially...
Excuse me, wrong soundbite. Here we go. Mike Davis on the John Solomon Show talking about Wray's imminent departure.
Mike, I want to talk about the one complication, which is the Senate can't consider this until the vacancy opens. Does Chris Wray get fired or does he resign? What's your prediction?
I hope Chris Wray, the FBI director, is smart enough to bow out gracefully, because he will be publicly humiliated if the president has to fire him. Not only will there be a political humiliation? There will be a legal humiliation, because the Supreme Court of the United States will definitely hold that the President of the United States has the constitutional power under Article 2 to fire the FBI director. And that statute calls for up to a 10-year term. It's not a 10-year term. It's up to a 10-year term. And the whole point of that was Congress was very concerned after J. Edgar Hoover consolidated too much power as the FBI director for decades. And so that's the point of this statute. It's an up to a 10-year term. The president can hire and fire an FBI director anytime he wants. He serves at the pleasure of the president.
And it's not unheard of. I mean, there was a little thing called the Church Commission that came in and made all kinds of changes to the FBI operation many years ago. That was after Hoover died. The Church Commission came in. So that, there have been changes that have happened in the past. And look, the president has, I think, some room to wiggle here and some room to really reform things, because, as Harry Enton will tell you, he's the CNN number cruncher, the American people are not very trusting of the FBI in recent years.
Look, I think Patel has real reason to believe that Americans would go along with changes that he might potentially make at the FBI, and there's a reason why Donald Trump feels like he can make this change. It's because if you look here, FBI is doing an excellent or good job. Look at this time trend line. You go back to 2014, right? It was 59% of Americans, then 57% in 2019, 50% in 2022. Look at where we are today. My goodness gracious, just 41% of Americans think the FBI is doing an excellent or good job. That is by far the lowest number this century.
Now, that's all citizens. That's Democrats, Republicans, independents alike. 41% of people do not trust the FBI. Among Republicans, that number is 26%. When asked, do you think the FBI is doing a good job, 26% of Republicans said yes, and the rest said no. That's not very high approval ratings for the old FBI. So Donald Trump comes in with something of a mandate. He sends Cash Patel, or he fires Wray, or maybe Wray will resign. Who knows? One way or the other. It will happen, just depending on when. And Cash Patel comes in as the director of the FBI after he is confirmed. There may be a little fight over him, but I think he'll get through. And here's what a retired FBI supervisory special agent, Jeff Danik, said to Just the News. The guy is completely and 100% qualified to run the organization. He's what's needed today. And I think that's true. Look, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't have a problem with most of the frontline people who work for the FBI. I think I've known some of these people over the years. I think they're good people. I think they are good and decent people. And I think that they care deeply about enforcing the law. They're not overtly political. They just want to, do what's right to make America safe and to go after bad guys. That's what they want to do. That's all that they're invested in. But boy, there at the J. Edgar Hoover building, it is a den of thieves. I think there are some people who work at the headquarters. They're very political. They let politics get involved and infect the process. Certainly, I think that a lot of things that have happened at the FBI we can point to them and say that was political. That was really political. Their involvement in all of the Russian collusion investigation, etc. Their willingness to know things but remain quiet about them, very political. And I just think that honestly, it is time to really rattle the cage, and I think Cash Patel will do that. And I think he is the right guy for the job. I mean, he's a pretty got a pretty good resume. He's a former prosecutor. He worked as assistant DNI, director of national intelligence, assistant chief of staff over at the Pentagon. I mean, this guy's got credentials. He's not some fly-by-night guy. The problem is, as far as Democrats are concerned, is he apparently is very loyal to Donald Trump, and that concerns people. Here are the things that he wants to do. Number one at the top of his list is shutting down FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., which has been home to the FBI since 1974. So that's, 50 years. Patel has been outspoken about his desire to close down the building and rid the FBI of its Washington, D.C. base. Speaking on a September show, the Sean Ryan show, Patel said, "I'd shut down the Hoover building on day one and reopen it the next day as a museum of the deep state. That I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops, go be cops." The building happens to be in a state of flux right now. The General Services Administration has chosen Greenbelt, Maryland as the location for a new FBI base. But I got to tell you, for years, when I was in Washington, they talked about moving the Hoover building to either Virginia or Greenbelt, just outside the Beltway. I think they kill that plan. They decentralize and sell the building. It's prime real estate. You get a good penny for it. Sell the building and decentralize and get it out of Washington. I think that would be a good thing. And I think that's sort of what he has in mind. And then cancel the new building in Greenbelt. You don't need it if you do that. Patel wrote a book where he said, let's take it out of Washington. It would prevent institutional capture and curb FBI leadership from engaging in political gamesmanship. I like that. So there's a lot of things he wants to do with regard to the FBI. And when you come in as an agent of change, you are always going to bump up against the status quo, the deep state that doesn't really want anything changed. The swamp, they like things the way they are. But look, the mandate that Donald Trump has is to come into Washington and effect real institutional change. Cash Patel is the guy for that. Marsha Blackburn said he predicts that Cash Patel, according to the Tennessee Star, will release both the flight logs and the client list kept by Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficker who allegedly committed suicide in a New York jail in 2019. Blackburn said during an appearance on Sunday Morning Futures, Maria Bartiromo, that Patel's unique level of experience working in government qualified him for the position. He then expressed optimism that he would help secure the release of Epstein's client list and flight records. Cash Patel has more experience than just about anyone coming into this position. He's been a prosecutor, noted Blackburn. He's been the deputy DNI. He's been the chief of staff of the Department of Defense. He's got a well-rounded background. And Blackburn first endorsed Trump's nomination of Patel on Saturday, writing that she looked forward to working with him to release Epstein's flight logs and client list. Under the Trump administration, American people are going to get answers. Blackburn has repeatedly sought the release of Epstein's flight log and black book and reported being censored by Facebook just days before Trump's nomination of Patel. Both of Tennessee's U.S. senators have indicated they will vote to confirm Patel as the next FBI director. Bill Hagerty revealed that he urged Trump to nominate Patel for the role in his administration. For his part, Patel previously indicated that not only should the FBI director release Epstein's client list, but should also release the full manifesto left behind by Audrey Elizabeth Hale, the biological female who identified as a transgender man when she killed 6 at the Covenant School here in Nashville, March 27th, 2023. As you know, there's been an ongoing fight about those particular documents. And I think it's time. Maybe that will be the end of this thing. Maybe they will be released. And, the FBI has been against it, but maybe under new director, that would not be the case. Look, it's going to be a fight for some of these people who are up for these nominations. And that's why I say you can't take your eye off Washington. You can't take your eye off the ball because, the work is not done just simply because we got through the election. There's still a lot of stuff that can then go sideways here. And Trump has got some battles ahead of him as we go through Senate confirmation. Now, I think most of the people are going to go through, but a couple are going to be pretty tough fights. But we'll see how it works out. I have confidence that in most of these cases, the Republicans will prevail, but not completely. Not completely when you have people like Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and you got the new guy from Utah is just like Romney. You got Mitch McConnell, who's still a member of the Senate, even if he's not in the leadership. He caused all kinds of problems. He knows how to play the rules like a fiddle. So the battle is not over yet. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You know, Eurofix has a very different business model, a very different philosophy. They staff all of the locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, so they can be ready for you when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers, it can be more than 2 weeks just to get an appointment, but not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999, plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car in the shop, call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, "We will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away and do it now." Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family-owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It has been a record-breaking holiday shopping season thus far. We'll give you some details on that, and we'll also have today's closing money news. That's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 past the hour of 6 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7, and Mark Levin will take over. Glad you're with us on this Tuesday, December 3rd. Tomorrow is going to be an important day to watch the Supreme Court. The 6-3 conservative majority will take up the case of gender-affirming care for transgender minors. Now, what is interesting about this is there are about 25 states around the country that have some similar piece of legislation, but the Supremes chose Tennessee's law as the one to sort of test where the boundaries of this should be. So this is from CBS News. The Supreme Court is set to convene Wednesday to hear arguments in a landmark case involving access to what they call, and I don't like this term because it's if you control the language, you control the debate. The left likes to call this gender affirming care. Sounds like we're going to affirm your gender with this care. But it's really, it's very, very different than that. It is puberty blockers, some of which, once you start the puberty blockers, you can't undo the damage. Even if you stop it, you can't undo some of the damage that's been done if you're giving these to people who are 13, 14, 15 years old or even younger. So, it is, and if you're doing surgery, some people call it sexual mutilation, and I don't think that's too far from the mark. The case concerns the constitutionality of a Tennessee law that bans medical care for transgender adolescents. Half the states have measures on the books that are similar to Tennessee's, and advocates for transgender rights are warning that if the Supreme Court upholds the ban, it would open the door to state lawmakers outlawing gender-affirming care for adults. I think that's a stretch. I don't think that's what the law intends. I think that is the left throwing up a false argument, a straw man argument, if you will. What we did here in Tennessee was we looked at this thoughtfully, and we said, look, if you're an adult, and you reach the age of adulthood, and this is something that you desire to do, state's not going to stand in your way. State's not going to say no. And I'm libertarian. I have just enough libertarianism in me to say that state should not tell you what to do if you're an adult. Now, I don't understand it. It's something I don't get. But if you're of the age of adulthood and you can make legal decisions for yourself and you decide that you want to go through these kinds of treatments, go through these kinds of treatments. Knock yourself out. Be you. I don't get it, but, I don't think that that the government should stand in your way once you become an adult. But what's happening is we got these kids who start these puberty blockers and, they don't know what's going on. There's a really interesting argument that's being made that what happens in many of these cases is especially young men who want to transition and say, I should be a woman. I should be a woman. And what that turns out to be in many cases is that they are gay. And they can't come to terms with the fact that they are gay. They can't come to terms with the fact that, they get teased if they are gay. And so they find this as an option. I'm not gay. I simply was born in the wrong body. And in many cases, those people, as they get a little older, realize, no, I'm not really a woman. I am gay. And I want to, they take it back and they detransition. So I think it's proper for us to set boundaries for people who are not of adult age and say no. And many states have agreed with Tennessee. It will be interesting to see what the Supreme Court does. Arguments will be held at the High Court tomorrow, and we'll bring you the details of what was said by the justices there at the highest court in the land. 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news.
Good evening. It is 6:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A complete forecast, another traffic report. They're all on the way. Big-time holiday shopping numbers have been released by Adobe. It shows a record $13.3 billion spent. Yeah, that's with a B. $13.3 billion spent yesterday alone. That's up more than 7% over the Cyber Monday last year. Here's ABC's Alexis Christoforous with more.
There are so many deals still to be had. I mean, the discounts may not be as deep as we saw Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, but the deals are going to be throughout December. Some hot sellers, toys, great deals on some Legos, Harry Potter figurines, skincare sets, laptops and computers, TVs, big sellers this year. And it looks like the big screen TVs are back, 75-inch, 85-inch TVs selling really, really well this weekend.
Well, let's continue with more of that money news. We'll hear now from Michelle Franzen.
Stocks closed mixed on new economic data. The Dow lost 76 points, the S&P was nearly even, and the Nasdaq added 77. Job openings rose by 372,000 to 7.7 million in October, but the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey finds fewer hires were made last month, while the rate of people quitting rose 2%. A key member of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors, Christopher Waller, says he's leaning towards supporting an interest rate cut in 2 weeks, but he also says evidence of persistent inflation before then could change his mind. South Korean stocks rebounded in a chaotic trading day after the president declared, then lifted martial law over political upheaval. The FDA closed its investigation into the E. coli outbreak tied to McDonald's Quarter Pounder onions, saying there's no longer a safety risk.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Yes, we have a report here of a traffic accident that has the right lane blocked, 24 westbound at Briley Parkway. It's also affecting traffic in the eastbound lanes as well, as folks got to stop and look. Also, a stalled vehicle has the left lane blocked, 40 westbound at exit 209B. That would be the Broadway exit. And in Madison, 65 northbound just before Old Hickory Boulevard. That would be exit 92. We have a crash there as well. I'm Jay Harper, and you can be on the lookout for traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
"37 minutes past the hour." Boy, I tell you what, we're getting it done here on this Tuesday. I will say that I enjoyed the snow, but I really have not enjoyed the cool temperatures.
Come on.
Really cold. No. There's a difference between cold and it will cut right through you cold.
Yeah, it's a little chilly out.
Yeah,
but there'll be a warm up coming, I think. So
you think? Is that right?
I think it's supposed to be warmer tomorrow.
Is that right?
Yeah,
And
like
I'm
50s.
ready for some of that.
Yeah.
I'm ready for some of that. This headline makes me laugh. And I'm going to read the headline and I'll tell you why it makes me laugh. 3/4 of Americans think the media is biased. That comes according to the Pew Research people. 3/4 of Americans think that the media is biased. Well, there's two reasons that makes me laugh. Yes, of course it's biased. Number two, there is no subject-verb agreement in that headline. The media is plural. Think the media are biased. I mean, I know we say it the other way all the time. The media is this and the media is that. But the correct way to do that is the media are biased.
Okay.
What? You can't do that?
It just sounds wrong.
But it is right.
All right. I'll defer to your judgment on that.
No.
I get it. It's a plural.
The subject is media, and media is not just one thing.
That's true.
It's not one monolithic thing. It's many things. So the media, and then the verb is, and it should be are. The media are biased. I know, it's one of those weird ones. Anyway, English lesson aside, here's the story from thehill.com. More than 3/4 of U.S. adults say that news organizations are biased when presenting news on social and political issues, according to a new survey. This comes from the Pew Research Center. Pew's pretty respected. And they don't really do political polling. They do opinion polling, where people are in America, how they feel about certain things. Released Tuesday found that 77% of surveyed Americans believe media organizations are biased. See, organizations are biased. This is a slight decrease from early 2020, when 79% of respondents said the same thing, making the highest percentage since Pew began asking the question nearly 40 years ago. 22% of Americans in the most recent survey said the media fairly deals with all sides. Who are those people? I don't think that anybody believes that. You know, it is hard to find a good, straight-up-the-middle news anymore. It really is. The perceptions of media bias varied by party as Republicans continued their trend of being more likely to believe that news coverage favors one side. Nearly 9 in 10 Republicans said news coverage favors one side. Only 67% of Democrats. Well, obviously, because the news is on their side. The survey also revealed that nearly 3/4 of Americans believe that media criticism keeps political leaders from doing things that shouldn't be done, compared to 24% who say it hinders politicians from doing their jobs. The latter figure of the response, however, also varied based on political affiliation. But I think that's interesting. September 16th through the 22nd, when am I just now hearing about this? 9,680 U.S. adults, 1.3% margin of error. You haven't heard much about this. Ninth Circuit Court, the Nutty Ninth, we used to call it, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, used to be renowned for making boneheaded rulings that would be overturned by the High Court. They called it the Nutty Ninth. Ninth Circuit rules in favor of federal deportation. At issue is an April 2019 executive order issued by King County Executive Dow Constantine, which directed county officials to prohibit fixed base operators, FBOs, on a county airfield near Seattle from servicing U.S. immigrations and customs enforcement charter flights used to deport illegal foreign nationals. Well, because we're a sanctuary city, don't you know? The federal government has the authority to deport foreign nationals in the U.S. illegally over the objection of local authorities. A panel of 3 judges on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously ruled. 29-page ruling written by Judge Daniel Bress. The judges Michael Hawkins and Richard Clinton concurring. So all 3 judges in this panel agreed that the federal government can deport people over the objections of local officials. Constantine's order prohibited King County International Airport from supporting the transportation and deportation of immigration detainees in custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, either traveling within or arriving or departing the United States or its territories. This is located next to a major Seattle base of operations. I think that's great. Trump administration at the time sued. This goes all the way back to the Trump years, of course. But anyway, it's finally made its way to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals has said, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. And was there any doubt? That's the thing. You see, this is what Democrats do. They knowingly violate the law, understanding that they're going to get a big window before this thing gets to the High Court and a final adjudication. It goes to the first court, it goes to the second court of appeal, and then, maybe to the Supreme Court in some cases. They know how to play the game. They play against time. And the Biden administration and Democrats are really, really good at it. I think people are a lot more optimistic about the economy than they have been. And the way you can tell is whether or not people are spending money at Christmas. You know what? If people are not confident about the future of the economy, they will not spend money like they do otherwise. Black Friday annual sales jumped 3.4%, says MasterCard. Cyber Monday expected to produce a new single-day record of $993 million in a buy now, pay later sale, said Adobe. Now, what I'm saying here is that we won't get the final Cyber Monday numbers for a day or two. Maybe they came out, but I missed them. Americans spent more money this year on Black Friday sales compared to 2023, indicating a strong holiday shopping season. U.S. retail sales, excluding automotive, rose 3.4% on this Black Friday compared to last year. Over the last several years, Black Friday's become more than just one day. but instead a window of time for shoppers to find value while consumers were enticed by early deals in the days leading up to the Thanksgiving holiday. Black Friday continued to reign as one of the biggest days of the season because people have the day off. Online sales rose 14.6% compared to last year. Wow. Wow. In-store sales marginally went up by just less than 1%, about 7.7%. It's a good indicator, say the economists who look at this stuff. Our real-time insights show that consumers are comfortably in the gift-giving spirit as price reductions and deals occur across sectors supporting budgets for holiday shopping. During the 2 weeks ending on Black Friday, spending was higher than expected in Colorado, Massachusetts, and the District of Columbia. On the top gifts, what would you imagine? It's not much different than most years. Apparel.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I always get hit up for jewelry. Electronics. And shoppers are making the most of seasonal deals and enjoying a balance of experiences, spending and gift for all loved ones, said Steve Sadove, senior advisor for MasterCard. Not a good day, not good times over at Stellantis. You know, I just can't get used to calling it Stellantis. It used to be the big three automakers in America were Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler. But Chrysler became Stellantis. Stellantis chief executive Carlos Tavares resigned abruptly on Sunday, 2 months after profit warning on the maker for Jeep, Fiat, and Peugeot had lost around 40% of its value this year. Your stock goes down 40%, you're not likely to survive. Which is really funny because, you know, Jeeps are very popular, but I guess it's the others that aren't doing so well. Company said it would seek to find a replacement CEO in the first half of 2025, said Senior Independent Director Henry DeCastri said in a statement that different views emerged in recent weeks among major shareholders, and he decided to step aside. Previously regarded as one of the most respected executives in the auto industry, Tavares' approach came under scrutiny after slumping sales in North America led the automaker in September to issue a profit warning on its 2024 results. How about that? Stellantis shares have lost around 40% of their value this year. I don't know why. They do U.S. Jeep and Ram sales. They do Dodge Ram as well, right?
Yep.
And you would think the Ram truck is pretty popular. I mean, not as popular as the Silverado or the F-150. F-150 is the number one vehicle made in America. And the Silverado is right there with it. And Ram does well with their Ram trucks. So I don't know. But they have apparently they've lost a lot of ground. I don't know. It's an interesting time for people in that particular business. By the way, just an interesting point. If you are among those, and I'm not, I'm not yet. If you're thinking that, you know, the electric car is your idea, you know, that's good for you, and I can see where it would work. Let's say, for example, you are somebody who drives back and forth to Nashville, and your trip is in maybe 20, 30 miles in and out, 60 miles a day. Electric car maybe not be a bad deal for you if that's all you're going to use it for. You know, I think a lot of people, if you just have one car that's dedicated to commuting back and forth to town, for example, then an electric car might not make a bad decision for you. You know, it might work. As long as you had another car that you could take a longer trip on. In my particular case, I want to have a truck so I can haul stuff and drag trailers and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm not ready to, I don't believe that the electric trucks are ready, you know, to do that kind of stuff. But, you know, when Trump comes into office, the rebate on buying an electric vehicle is probably going to go away. And I think it should, but as long as it's there, you know, if you want to take advantage of it, now would be the time to do that. Because I think that it's going to go away. pretty soon. But for the moment, they've got a lot of those cars on the lot, and they're willing to make a good deal. And even Ford will even put in the charger for you. 50 minutes now past the hour. Merry Christmas from the entire family at Busy Bee. They have deals that are better than cold milk and cookies this year. Busy Bee has a limited number of 14 SEER, 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential unit replacements for only $6,995. That includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency and year-round comfort for residential homes. Maybe you have found that your system is it's on its last leg. You know, they don't last forever. If you need to do something like that to get you through the winter, this would be a good time to take advantage of it at Busy Bee. How about a $69 mainline camera inspection from the outside cleanout or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? You buy a basic air duct cleaning package, and then they will automatically, for free, upgrade you to the next package level. For example, if you buy a middle tier package, they automatically upgrade you to the premium air duct cleaning. Also get a $500 gift card after installation of a whole home water main or a drain pipe replacement or a whole home water or drain repipe. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or learn more by going to their website, busybehvac.com.